Hey Talia, good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you again. I haven't had you in class for a while. Welcome. How are you doing, Talia? Everything going well? Off to a good start in terms
Yeah.
for That's good. Good to hear. All right, we will give it a few minutes here, see if we get some more folks joining us. Hey, good morning, Jair. Welcome to you. Good to have you guys here. Let me get my attendance going.
I might have to run to the store to get my daughter something to eat. So I'm gonna try to stay on the class with my phone
All right.
instead of my laptop.
No worries, Talia. Thank you for letting me know.
Okay.
I appreciate it. All right.
What is this class?
So if it says you're in the right spot, it should say drama or film study on your roster.
Yeah, what is that about?
So that's what we're gonna talk about today. We're gonna go over like what the project is, what we're gonna be doing. Um, but it's basically like we're going to watch a movie, analyze it, talk about it, learn how to pick out the themes and how to analyze those, and then kind of do like a little writing project about that. So kind of an English class, also kind of like a humanities class, kind of like put together. That's why it's an arts and humanities credit.
All right.
But like I said, we'll kind of go into more detail today. So let's give it a few more minutes here and see if we can get some more people joining us before we get started. So get yourself settled. If you still haven't logged in and registered for all your classes on Summit, that's something you can do while you're waiting. Um, if you need any of the codes, let me know. But we'll give it a few minutes here, and then we will jump in. I'm going to send out another reminder in a few, and hopefully get some more people joining us. Excuse me. Good morning, Clea. Welcome. Thank you for joining. Hey, Bev. Good morning to you. Glad we are seeing some more people getting in. Let me send out another email blast. Hope you all are doing well. Welcome to our first class for term 3. So y'all can get yourselves together. We're going to give it maybe 5 more minutes here and see if anybody else logs on and joins us. And then if not, we will jump in and get started. All right. So let me send out one more email blast here. If you guys get it, you can disregard since you are already here. All right, hope everybody is doing well. We are excited for term 3. Hey, Zanelia, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Slowly but surely, they are trickling in here. Excellent. Where are you on my list? Right there. Excuse me.
But he's a photographer.
Well, good morning. Hey, Teron. Teron, you might be in the wrong class because I don't see you on my list here. So I would double check your roster. All right. Let me see. Where you should be here. And the rest of us, we'll give it about another minute and then we will jump in and get started. Thank you for logging on today. Tehran. First period, yeah. So Teron, I just checked your roster. You don't have a second period class on Mondays and Thursdays for this term. So you are good. You're done for the day. So you're more than welcome to stay and check this one out if you want. But just to let you know that you do not have a second period. All right. But the rest of us, we all do, since you are on my list and you are in the right spot. So welcome again. Good morning. Good to see you all. Some of whom I saw last term. Some of you I haven't seen since term 1. So welcome. Good to have you all back. All right. Happy Thursday. Here's the deal for today, ladies and gents. It is, like I said, the first day of our class for term 3. So going to be pretty low-key, chill day for today. We're just going to kind of do some intro stuff, go over what the project is, a couple of questions to get our brains, in gear, thinking about what we're going to be doing in this project. And then that's pretty much all I have for today. So fairly easy day. Might even get out of here a little bit early. So should be good. So without further ado, then I'm going to share my screen and we will jump and get started. All right. All right. So class packet knows and expectations, drama/film studies, what it should say on your roster. And like I said, you guys are all on my list, so that means it does, and you're in the right place. Good job. All right. So here's a little icebreaker to get us started today. All right. What is one thing you can do differently in term 3 to help you be successful? All right. So think about, how you did in term 2. Think about what you want to improve upon for term 3, where you want to, what are your goals, where you want to get to, and then tell me what's one thing you can do differently. So maybe it's something that you didn't do a lot of in term 2 and you want to do more of now. Maybe it's something you didn't do at all that you want to start doing, whatever it might be. But what's one thing you can do differently in term 3 to help you be successful? You can think about this and share it in the chat with me, please. If you want to come off mute and share it that way, that's fine too. But I would love to hear from you. While you guys are thinking about this, I can start us off and share mine. One thing I would like to do differently is be more consistent with updating the announcements on Summit. So using that announcement feature, so that when you guys log on to Summit and you see that landing page, I can keep it updated with assignments and due dates and what we're doing, so that if people miss class but they're still logging on to Summit, they'll still be able to kind of be in the loop with what's going on. I didn't do that a lot this year, so something I want to do differently to help do that, is maybe set reminders on my phone, put a little sticky note on my laptop to remind me to maybe update that at the beginning of or the end of each week, whatever it might be. So that would be mine. So if you have one that comes to mind, share it in the chat. And I see a bunch of them in there, which is awesome. All right. All right. And Bev, I did see your chat. Yes, I will be having afternoon labs. So I will be in there from 1 to 3. There won't be much in terms of like stuff that is due for today, just to give you a heads up. But feel free to come to the lab if you want, and the recording will also be up on YouTube. All right. Zanelli said, be more consistent. That's a great thing to do differently to help you be successful. And Zanelli, when you say be more consistent, do you mean with attendance, with getting your work turned in? Any specifics there? And while Zanelli is thinking about that, is there anybody else that has any thoughts that we haven't heard from yet? Tyquil, Jair, Kalia. All right, getting work in on time.
Get the good amount. get some good amount of sleep
Get a good amount
so
of
I
sleep.
can be ready for these classes.
That is a really good one. Was that Jair? Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
really like that. That is something that I am trying to do more of as well, which I kind of started to do last night. But I think that'll help. But I think that is something that helps a ton. That maybe a lot of people overlook, but it's super, super important. Is like being well rested and all that stuff. So that's a really good thing to try to want to do differently for this term. So how have you been doing so far? Are you off to a good start, or you got to kind of get into it?
I'm to a good start. I
Okay.
didn't do I missed algebra too based off the link didn't work, I guess.
Gotcha.
But I'm good on that class. She sent me a new link.
Cool. Well, that's good to hear. I'm glad you're off to a good start, and it's a really good plan to have in mind. It's as he said, be more consistent, getting working on time. Another good one. Anybody anybody else who has any final thoughts? Hey, Relisha. Good morning. Welcome. And Relisha, what we are talking about now is this icebreaker question that I have shared on the screen, which is what is one thing you can do differently in term 3 to help you be successful? So that's what we're thinking of to kind of get us started today. So we've already had a couple people share theirs, you know, getting on a better sleep schedule, being more consistent with turning work in on time, all that good stuff. So let's see if we get maybe one or two more responses in the chat or coming off mute before we wrap this part up here. Alicia keeps the plan simple with focus. I like that. Can you be any more specific? Is there something specifically you want to focus on? That maybe you didn't focus on as much in term 2. And while she's thinking about that, anybody we still haven't heard from who has any thoughts for this? Tyquil, Kalia, anything you can think of that you can do differently this term to help you be more successful? Like, really, should you want to focus on getting to class on time? Do you want to focus on getting your work done, you know, earlier? Anything more specific? And if not, that's okay because it's good to just have, general goals like that too sometimes. Let me think. Any final thoughts here? Give everybody maybe another minute. Anything else? What do we think? No, that's okay. All right, but really good ones so far. Thank you to everybody who shared. Keep it up. All right. Keep those in mind as we start not only this class, but all your classes, and make sure you stay consistent with those things. All right, really good job. So speaking of starting this class, let's do that right now and get into our kind of virtual and class norms. Now, most of you have had me before and have been, it's really, I don't think we have any brand new people in here. So a lot of this you've already seen, but I like to put them up at the beginning of every class just to kind of start fresh and remind everybody of, some best practices, to be successful. So make sure you're checking your Yes Philly email daily, which I know at least all you guys are doing because you all got the link because you're all here. All right. Mute yourself when you're not speaking. If your camera's on, make sure you're dressed appropriately. Because remember, this is technically still a school setting, but not a lot of people with their camera on anyway, so probably don't need to worry about that. And with that goes use appropriate language. And also, as always, if you have any tech issues, make sure you contact Miss C. So Summit passwords, email passwords, anything like that. And again, just a reminder, if you still haven't registered for all your classes on Summit, make sure you get those codes and do that. All right. So those are our virtual norms. Class norms, as always, number one is attendance. You make sure you're logging in every day. Everybody's off to a great start. Oh, excuse me. Okay, because number one, it's 40% of your grade, so it matters for that. Number two, we want to see you in here every day, and you're also staying up to date with what's going on by attending. I hate when I see people making more work for themselves because they haven't gone to class, so they say, I'm just going to go on Summit and do everything that's there. But that might, sometimes everything that's on Summit isn't stuff that has to be turned in, so you're just making more work for yourself. So make sure you're coming to class, and then that's not going to be an issue. uh, Also with grading is your final product is another 40%, and the last 20% is checkpoints, quizzes. So checkpoints got to be green or yellow by the end. We're only going to have one final product for this term, since I kind of noticed, what works well and what doesn't work well with this virtual stuff. I decided to keep the project as streamlined as possible, meaning, just kind of the essentials, what we have to do so that everybody has a great chance to pass, because there's not a whole lot of checkpoints, a whole lot of final projects, because that seems to be what works best in this virtual setting. So just a little insight on that. And then lastly, as always, my classes discussion is encouraged and welcome to those of you who are joining us. We're getting a whole bunch here.
Daddy here.
Welcome, welcome. And Talia is back with us. Jair, or excuse me, Jairi. All right, awesome. Thank you. Welcome. So, those of you who are just joining us, we are kind of just getting started here. We talked about, what's one thing we want to do differently in term 3 to be successful. So, you can keep that in mind. If you can think of anything and you want to share it in the chat, feel free, because I'd love to hear. But if not, it's okay. Now we're just going over kind of our class norms, expectations, like I do at the beginning of every term. So again, remember to log in every day. Here's kind of your grading breakdown. And as always, like I was saying, in my classes, discussion is always encouraged, because a lot of what we're going to be doing. Jerry, you are in here twice. I don't know if one of them is for your audio, but just as a heads up that you're logged in twice here. All right. Discussion always encouraged, especially with this project for this term, because it's kind of like a film study. So we're gonna, it's gonna be a lot of, me asking, what do you guys think of this thing? Or what did you think that meant? And that goes as well as we allow it to go. I always say, help me help you. The more you guys participate and contribute and engage, the better class will be. It'll go like that, and it can be really engaging, really exciting, I think, too, especially this term. I'm excited about this project. But if you guys don't do that, and it's me waiting for people to answer, and it's silent and like watching paint dry, then it'll be slow and painful, and nobody wants that. Okay, so you guys are kind of the thermostat with all of that. So just another reminder about discussion being encouraged, and we're already off to a good start. A couple of us shared with that icebreaker, so keep up that good work. All right, good job. So now that we've gone through all that, what are we actually going to be doing in this project? When I mentioned that's what we're going to turn our attention to now. So to get us started thinking about that, I have a little two-part question here that I'd like us all to consider. The first part is, what is your favorite part about movies? So when you think about going to the movies back when we were able to all do that, or watching movies with friends, family, whatever it might be, what's your favorite part about that? What do you enjoy the most? And then what makes a good film, right? When you say, oh, that movie was really good, why are you saying that? What about it makes it good? Okay. Think about that. And I'd like you to respond in the chat. If you want to come off mute, if that's easier, and answer verbally, you can do that too. But let's take a minute or two, think about this, and then I'd like to hear your responses. So I'll give you guys a few minutes to think about some stuff here. And again, answer in the chat if you can. Um, if you want to answer verbally, that's fine too. But what is your favorite part about movies, and what do you think makes a good film? All right, what do we think? Are we coming up with some stuff here? Looks like it in the chat. Got a lot of action, which is good. All right, so Zenelia said a good meaning behind it, or the climax of the story, which is awesome. Talia said an engaging storyline, so kind of the same thing, right? I like how Zenelia said a good meaning behind it, so kind of not just the story itself, but what it represents. Those are really good. How about some other ones? I'll leave this up here for another minute or two and see if we can get some more responses, because we got a lot of people in here today, so I should see at least 2 or 3 more responses in that chat. All right, this is what we're thinking about. What is your favorite part about movies? What do you think makes a good film? And I can keep it going while you're thinking and share mine for the first part. Something that I think about is the humanity aspect of watching a movie, how it brings people together. So like I said before, the pandemic, when we could go to the movie theater, that's something I really really miss, and one thing I can't wait to do, um while this COVID stuff is done, is go back to the movie theater again, because you can go with friends or family. You can get the snacks, you can pick where you sit, it's a whole thing. Maybe you go out to eat afterwards. But even if you don't do that, you can still you invite people over to your house or your apartment, watch a movie, talk about it afterwards, text people like, hey, did you see this movie? Like, what did you think about it? All that thing. you know Movies are one of the few things that still allow us to do that, and come together over one thing in that way. uh, so something really cool, like one of my favorite um, movie going experiences, maybe of all time, was when I saw Avengers Endgame in the theater. Myself and my girlfriend and our best friend, we went to see it all together, because that's kind of like our little Marvel crew that goes and sees all the Marvel movies that we have for like the last couple of years. And before we saw Endgame, like a month before, I watched all the other movies in the Marvel universe in the correct order, that like makes sense for the story. And it took me like a month to do it, and I finished the same night we went and saw Endgame in the theater, and it made it that much more impactful, because I had just watched the whole arc, and then it finished with Endgame, and it was like, whoa, this is pretty intense. So that's the my favorite part about movies, is like how it brings people together. And what do I think?
You watch Wanda? You watch Wanda with Vision?
I do watch Wanda. Who is that? Jairi?
This guy here.
Jair. I do watch WandaVision. Jair, do you watch it as well?
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah,
Is it?
I think it's really good so far. I'm excited to see the next episode.
Did they drop anything else, or that's just what they having?
Say it one more time.
Is they dropping anything else for that, or that's all they gonna have for it?
That's all that's there so far. I mean, like, there's a new episode that comes out every Friday, so there'll be a new episode that comes out tomorrow. But then I know like Falcon and the Winter Soldier is going to start soon too. So I'm excited. I'm excited for that one. Yeah, Disney Plus has been killing it with the TV shows lately, like The Mandalorian. If you're a Star Wars fan, that's a good one.
Yeah, I
Uh,
watched that too.
yeah, and JRC also shared in the chat how everything comes together at the end. That's another good point. Um, some people like that when everything is kind of wrapped up nicely and we know how everything ends. Some people like it the opposite, which I kind of like both sometimes, where you maybe don't know what it happens at the end for sure, and it's kind of left up to your interpretation. If that's done well, sometimes it can be really cool. Sometimes it's not done that well, and it doesn't end up being a great movie. But yeah, those would be my answers. I like my favorite part about movies is how they kind of bring people together, and then what I think makes a good film is a movie that does exactly that. Makes is something that people can talk about. Brings people together, has a good story, maybe even has a good twist. Um, if we have any horror movie fans out there who like a good twist ending, like maybe Get Out or Sixth Sense, something like that. Those would be mine. So, any other thoughts from people we haven't heard from yet? So anything that comes to mind? Relisha, Tyquil. All right. Bev, Shadi, any last minute thoughts? See if we can get maybe one more answer in the chat here. Anything we can think of? What's our favorite part about movies, or what do we think makes a good film?
When I watch a movie, I want to like feel it. Like I want to feel like it's real.
Okay. What do you mean feel like it's real? Like that you can believe everything would actually happen in real life?
Yeah, like I know some of the stuff is like made up, or sometimes stuff just be like stuff that commonly wouldn't happen. But certain movies, when the way they act, can make it feel real.
I know
Like,
exactly. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, Alicia. That's a really good point. So even though this is like a fantasy movie, the way that they're doing it, the way it's made, still feels like it could actually be happening. Is that kind of what you mean? Yeah, that's cool. I agree. I think it's important too. I think that's why all the Marvel movies are so popular is because we all know it's comic books and superheroes, right? But the way they're made is there's still a lot of emotion. There's still a lot of like human nature. So it's not fantasy. We like Release said, it feels real. Same thing with like Harry Potter, like Divergent, Hunger Games, all those books. I think we can tell that it's kind of human nature to tell that right away when it's not, and that's when we say like, oh, this movie's kind of dumb. Like that wouldn't really happen, or like that wouldn't really happen that way. That's why something I don't know if you guys watch these on YouTube as well, but I like to watch where they have like the people review like different movies. So like it's like a person who does that thing for real, and then so they'll have like a doctor review like medical movies, and they'll say like, oh, that would happen, like that's pretty realistic, that would actually happen. And then they'll say like, well, no, you would never get hurt that way, or you wouldn't treat it that way. I really like those because they kind of break it down, and makes you realize like how much they change for movies, but also sometimes it's like one of your favorite movies and they say, oh, this is pretty realistic, and you're like, okay, cool. So that's kind of like what Release is getting at there. Thank you for sharing. Really good job. All right. So then, ladies and gentlemen, what I want you to do now, thinking about all those things, what we think makes a good film, and what's our favorite part, what I would like you to do is in the chat, list your top 5 favorite movies for me. The reason we're doing this is because in any kind of film study drama class, it's always good to see what everybody's kind of influences and their favorite movies are, because sometimes we think ours might be a lot different from everybody else's, but then when we share them we realize, oh, it's actually not that far off. So see if you can come up with your top 5, and if you're stumped, think about everything you just said that makes a good movie that you enjoy, and then think about, okay, what are the movies that I know do that really well, that I always enjoy, and that's kind of how you can come up with it. So I'd like you to put it in the chat. I'd like you to try and do it all in one chat. So answer, put all 5 in once, so I can kind of keep track if you can. And while you're thinking, I will share mine to give you guys some time to come up with yours. My number one all-time favorite would have to be Ferris Bueller's Day Off, classic '80s movie about a kid who plays hooky from school, and then a bunch of other hijinks ensue. I just like the way it's written. I like the the vibe. It's one of those classic '80s John Hughes movies, who is a very famous writer director who did. If you've heard any of those other '80s movies like The Breakfast Club or 16 Candles, or if you watch Home Alone at Christmas time, if you celebrate, he wrote the screenplay for that movie. So very, very big deal. So that's my all-time fave, and then I have Wedding Crashers up there, classic comedy. But speaking of some of the stuff people mentioned about the story behind it, like I think is what Zenalia said. That's also why I like Wedding Crashers, because as much as it is super funny comedy, there's a lot of jokes. It's also a really good kind of best friend story. It's a really good romance story as well. So it's one of my faves for those reasons. On top of just being fans of Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson and their comedy. So that's another one of mine. Another one on my list is a movie called Ruby Sparks. So if any of us are into writing or like literature, this is a movie I highly recommend. If you've ever heard of the Greek myth Pygmalion, it's kind of based on that. So it's about a guy who is a writer, and he writes a story about this girl that he has a dream about, and then the girl comes to life, and she's a real person, and then he realizes he can kind of control what she does by writing about her on his typewriter. And it's really beautifully written. It's really beautifully acted. The score, like the music, is really, really nice too. But it's also, again, to Zenelia's point about having a good meaning behind it, it's a really good kind of metaphor about, how we build people up, and like, our ideals of them versus how they are in real life, and, learning to accept that, and how men can kind of like, have this gaze and this kind of like ideal of women, but not realize like how they really are in real life. And then he kind of like comes to terms with that at the end. And it's overall a really, really great movie. So another one of my faves. And then I have to, of course, honor my Italian heritage and put a mafia movie on there. So you got to go with The Godfather. When I was coming up with this the other night, I was debating, all right, do I do The Godfather? Do I do Goodfellas? Do I do The Godfather 2? But I decided, we wouldn't have any of the other ones if we didn't have the original Godfather. So I put that one on there. And then last but not least would be The Matrix, for any of my sci-fi fans out there. I do like all three of them, but I think the first one is the best one, and they're coming out with a new one soon too. That's going to be on HBO Max and Keanu Reeves is going to be in it again, and Carrie-Anne Moss. So I'm excited for that. And I also could put Liar Liar in here as an alternate as well. Somebody mentioned that in the last class, and I thought, oh, I should have put that on mine. So those are mine. So has anybody shared their top 5 in the chat? Let's see. All right, nothing in there yet. So let's see if we can get at least a few in there. Can anybody come up with their list of their top 5 films? All right, I'd love to hear what yours are. So go ahead and put them in the chat for me if you can. I'll leave this up here for another another few minutes. See if we got some time to think. What do we think? Any lists for a top 5? No, nobody can think of their top 5 favorite movies. There's gotta be at least somebody.
What kind of movies do they have to be? Just like movies,
Just-
period.
Yeah, just in general, your top 5 favorites. Like when you think of your favorite movies, what are they?
Eve's Bayou, Blue Hill Avenue. What was I just watching the other day? Coffee and Kareem. I just saw that. I like that movie. So that's kind of like my favorite movie right now. That's only 3.
Hmm.
Oh, Miss McGorry Wonder Emporium. I saw
Oh,
that for
yeah.
the first time when I was younger.
That's a classic.
I'm trying to think of one more. That was the thing. That's the only 4 that I could come up with.
That's all right. If you can only think of 4 right now, that is fine. I'm just getting my attendance updated here. I think I got everybody now. And I know we saw there was another one somebody put in the chat too, but thank you, Manaya. Welcome also since you just joined. And who else put one in here?
You probably don't know what Eve's Bayou is or Blue Hill Avenue. Those are like really old movies.
I have never heard of those 2, but I will definitely try and check them out. And Coffee and Kareem, I know that is a new one that just came out that's supposed to be really good. And Jair said Wolf of Wall Street. That's a good one. I'm a huge Leonardo DiCaprio fan. Grown Ups, I just watched that the other night. That's always a classic. And Zaneo said I can't think of any, but Lethal Weapon is my favorite show, which is good. Have you seen the Lethal Weapon movies, Zanelia? If you like the show, like any of the original movies with like Mel Gibson. And Jair also says, and no, not yet. Yeah, I would check those out. At least the first one for sure. If you like the show, those will be good too. They might not age super well, when you look at them through a 2021 lens, but definitely still good action movies. And Jair also said Endgame. And Jair, I went back and forth when I was making my list. I had these first 4 in, and I had one more to go. And I was like, okay, should I put The Matrix or should I put Endgame? But I thought, if I put Endgame, I'm gonna want to also put Infinity War or Winter Soldier, and then it'll just end up being a whole.
Yeah, like Endgame and Infinity War equally.
Yeah, I mean they're really really good. We just watched both of them the other day because we watched WandaVision when it came out, and then of course we were like, oh no, I want to watch all the Marvel movies because we haven't watched them in a while. So we watched Captain Marvel, and then we watched Infinity War and Endgame.
I skipped that movie.
Yeah, it's a good double feature. And I was saying to my girlfriend, it's like, you're not gonna see, this maybe ever again, something like this where it's like 20, 21 or 22 movies all leading up to this one big thing. Super, super, super cool.
I never seen The Godfather.
That is one that I would recommend. It's pretty long. So, but I mean, you said you watch Endgame, which is like 3 hours. So, but if you like, kind of mob and like gangster movies and stuff like that, that's pretty much the OG, right? So I would definitely recommend that one. And as well as The Godfather Part 2. There's 3 Godfather movies. The third one is kind of like, but the first 2 are really good. And the second one, a lot of people think is better than the first one. And it's, when people talk about sequels, we always usually say, the sequel's usually not as good as the first one, except for The Godfather 2. That's usually regarded as like maybe the best sequel ever, because it's so good. So I would definitely check those out. I don't know where if you can stream them anywhere. I'll have to check that out and let you know. But definitely good. And Janae said her and her boyfriend just finished watching Game of Thrones. That is something I've also never seen.
I want to watch that too. I never watched it.
I have some friends that are like super super into it. I just never got around to it. But another one, if you like Game of Thrones, that my sister and brother-in-law just finished, is that show Vikings, which is kind of very similar, except instead of like medieval like knights and stuff like that, it's obviously Vikings, but it's the same kind of deal. All right, but all really really good ones. All right. And Teron said Home Alone, Big Honey, or Honey, I Blew Up the Kids. I remember those. Those were good. All right. So any other final thoughts here? And if not, that's okay. We got to keep it moving anyway. Really good job. Thank you to everybody who shared. If you can think of any more, please feel free to put them in the chat. But now we can turn to what we're actually going to be doing in this project, right? So like I said, the reason I had us share all our favorite movies is because we're going to be talking about movies in this project. The project is called From Stage to Page. So here's the deal with this project is that originally in Summit, it was meant to be done with a Shakespeare play. But I decided I really like the project, so I wanted to keep, the project and the final project and what we do. But I didn't think that doing a Shakespeare play would, benefit us because it'd be hard to do virtually because we're not in person. We don't see each other every day. I mean, and Shakespeare is tough enough as it is. So I figured rather than read something else written by an old dead white guy, we would watch a movie that's kind of similar to the play we were supposed to read, but is a little bit more relatable. But the same concepts kind of apply because much like a play starts with writing the play, every movie starts from a screenplay, right? It has to be written, there has to be a script. So we can kind of apply those same kind of concepts of taking something that's written, that is a form of literature but is different than a book or a story because it's meant to be seen and performed, right? So we're going to be thinking about that and thinking about these essential questions, like what are the factors that make us human? So what are the things we have as humans that set us apart from other species, other animals, things like that? Can anybody think of that? Is there anything that comes to mind when I ask this question? What are the factors that make us human? So when we talk about humanity, right, and us being human, what are the things that we as humans have or do that other animals or creatures don't have or can't do, that kind of set us apart? Anything come to
Wash
mind?
up.
Say it again.
Wash up.
Can you put it in the chat too? I'm just having trouble understanding what you're saying.
Wash up. Take a shower.
Oh, okay, yeah. So like our hygiene and stuff like that. That's definitely true. Anything else besides just like physical activities? Like what else do we have that we convey a lot through movies and plays and songs and stuff like that other animals, other creatures can't do? What are the things that usually drive a lot of this artwork that we are talking about, a lot of these movies that we're talking about?
Writing.
Writing, definitely. And when we write, we're usually tapping into what?
Mm.
What are the things that we have based on what's going on in our life that we usually tap into when we're writing something, whether it's a poem or a story or a movie or whatever? Like if you're happy, you might write this way. If you're sad, you might write this way. What do we call all those kinds of things?
Emotions.
Exactly. So our emotions, our feelings, our ability to kind of think and reason and say like, okay, well, I shouldn't do this because if I do this, I might get in trouble and then this might happen and so on and so forth. We're the only kind of creatures that can do that. As much as we like to think, sometimes our pets can do that. The science tells us that they really can't. It's all almost instinct. They can't think and reason, but humans can, and we have those emotions and those feelings that we can tap into to create things like writing or movies or songs
I can't leave, Mr. Todd. My Wi-Fi had cut out. I didn't leave.
or paintings. No worries. We are recording, so this will be up on YouTube if you want to watch later today to get caught up. But we're talking about right now this essential question, the first one on this list. What are the factors that make us human? and we've talked about already, it can be physical things like being able to wash and shower and take care of ourselves in that regard, but it can also be things like our emotions and our feelings that allow us to do things like write and read and create this art that we're talking about, that we're going to talk about in this class. So, any other last minute thoughts on that before we wrap up here, in terms of factors that make us human or that that show our humanity? All right, well, if not, that's okay. Think about that. Keep that in mind as we go through this project, because that's going to be a key thing in our goal, our final product, which is what we're going to do at the end. Like I said, there's only going to be one. I want to keep it as streamlined as possible, so it's as easy as possible for everybody to stay on track, stay caught up, and pass. So we're going to write a paper in which we analyze the language of a single scene from the movie that we watch in depth. So thinking about the words the characters say, the words they don't say, what that means, what that symbolizes, right? And explain the connection of that scene to the overarching theme and structure of the movie itself. And we're going to learn how to identify all that. So we're going to learn how movies tell those stories and how they convey those kind of themes and symbols. And we're going to learn how to pick that out. All right. And then we're going to analyze, you're going to pick a scene and analyze it and tell me how it does exactly that. All right. So that's what we're going to be kind of looking for as we wrap up this project. All right. So that is pretty much all I have for today. Questions on anything? On what we're going to do, on anything with the project, all right? So nothing that's going to be due for next class. We're just going to leave it there for today, and we'll dive into it when we meet again on Monday, all right? And I see some of us have joined better late than never, all right? If you did join late or towards the end today, like I said, the class recording will be up on YouTube in a little bit, so you can check that out if you want to get caught up. But nothing due for next class. We're going to get started when we meet again on Monday. Don't forget about Summit Labs, which have started. So I know there's probably not a lot going on yet, but teachers are there from 1 to 3. So if you need help, if you have questions about anything, you can see it's there. Don't forget about our new Wednesdays. So if you come and you're engaged and you fill out that survey, you can make some money. And don't forget that there will also be a report card night next week. All right. Yeah, that's what I was just getting to, Zenelia. Thank you. So report card night is going to be probably next Wednesday, I think. You'll get an email with more details, and it'll be virtual like this. And you and your parent or guardian can attend via the Zoom link and talk about report cards, and they should be mailed out to you fairly soon. Okay. Probably like beginning of next week. And then don't forget, we have off on the 15th for President's Day. So not this coming Monday, but the Monday after. All right. So ladies and gents, that is all I have. If you have no other questions for me, you are good to go. I will see you all again on Monday. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. And really good job today.
All right, Miss Ty. See you later.
All right. Hey, Tehran, before you go, again, remember, I have no problem with you staying in here, but you're not in this class. You don't have a second period on Mondays and Thursdays.
You say I'm not in here?
No. That's what I said that earlier, but I don't know if you heard me or not. But I looked at
No, I didn't hear you. I thought this was my class. My fault.
No, I looked at your roster, and you don't have a second period on Mondays and Thursdays.
Oh,
Once you're
okay.
done with Miss Hicks' class on Monday and Thursday in first period, then you're done for the day. Right?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Like I said, I don't mind you being in here, but I told you earlier, but you probably might have stepped away. But yeah, no second period. So once you're done with Miss Hicks on Mondays and Thursdays, then you're good.
All right. I'll see you later then.
All right. Thanks, buddy.
All right.
All right, y'all. if there is nothing else, I'm gonna go ahead and end the chat. Thank you again. Good job today, and I will see you all on Monday.